This video is brought to you by Brilliant. Political rivalries can lead to strange and dramatic moments, as adversaries jockey for influence, trying to knock their opponents down whilst bolstering their own positions. But in what's perhaps the world's most dramatic ongoing political rivalry, the Vice President of the Philippines recently said that she'd asked an assassin to kill the President, his wife, and the Speaker of the House of Representatives if she herself is killed, warning that it wasn't a joke. The comments, which she has since tried to walk back on, form part of a bitter feud between two powerful political dynasties that occupy the Philippines' two top offices. So, in this video, we're going to explain the crisis at the heart of the Philippine government, why the President and Vice President have so dramatically fallen out, and what it means going forwards. Before we start, if you haven't already, please consider subscribing and ringing the bell to stay in the loop and be notified when we release new videos. So, to understand this escalating feud, we're going to need to introduce you to some of the main characters. Now, political dynasties are a common feature of the Philippines' political landscape, and this story involves two prominent families, the Marcos family and the Dutertes. The first person you need to know about is the country's incumbent president, Ferdinand Marcos Jr., commonly known as Bongbong Marcos. Marcos Jr. is the son and namesake of the notorious former president and dictator Ferdinand Marcos, who ruled the Philippines from 1965 until he was ousted in 1986. Marcos Jr.'s election to the presidency in 2022 was a remarkable comeback to the political stage for the Marcos dynasty, considering their undignified exit from the country 36 years prior. So, what about the Duterte clan? At its head is Rodrigo Duterte, a foul-mouthed populist, sometimes compared to Donald Trump, and who for decades was the mayor of Davao, the Philippines' third most populated city, before serving as the country's president from 2016 to 2022, a single term as limited by the constitution. Duterte's daughter, Sara Duterte, is the incumbent vice president, having been elected in 2022 alongside Marcos Jr. The coming together of the Marcoses and the Dutertes in 2022 created a formidable political alliance dubbed Uniteam that saw both Bongbong Marcos and Sara Duterte win with record-breaking landslides. The alliance between the two families was never expected to last forever, but it collapsed in a spectacular public fashion surprisingly quickly, not even 2 years into the 6-year presidential and vice presidential term. In January, former President Rodrigo Duterte delivered a heated and expletive-laden speech in which he accused his presidential successor, Marcos, of being a drug addict. This sparked a tit-for-tat of exchanges, in which Marcos accused Duterte of being under the influence of fentanyl, and Duterte retorted by saying Marcos was a cocaine user. This would turn out to be just an opening salvo in the still escalating public feud. In June, Sara Duterte, while remaining vice president, quit Marcos's cabinet by resigning as education minister, a move seen by observers as a sign that their relationship was beyond repair, and one that gave herself the political space to more openly oppose President Marcos, and that she has. Last month, in an online press conference, Sara Duterte aired a long list of grievances with the president and said that she'd grown so frustrated by attacks against her that she wanted to dig up the body of Ferdinand Marcos Sr. and throw it in the sea. Then this month, in a step up from that, she suggested that there was an unspecified plot to kill her, and that she'd spoken to somebody and said, "If I'm killed, you'll kill BBM, Liza Araneta, and Martin Romualdez. No joke, no joke," referring to the President, First Lady, and House Speaker. In response, Marcos, without naming Duterte, vowed to fight reckless and troubling threats against him, and lawmakers have summoned Sara Duterte for questioning. But what issues are actually at the root of the family's public split? One point of contention is the fact that Marcos Jr. has backed amending the constitution, a sensitive subject, to allow for greater foreign investment in the Philippines, but Rodrigo Duterte accused him of actually wanting to scrap or extend term limits to allow him to serve more than a single 6-year term as president. As such, Duterte warned Marcos that attempting to change the constitution risks Marcos suffering the same fate as his father, who was ousted by the People Power Revolution in 1986. Another point of division is the difference in approach to China taken by the previous Duterte administration and the incumbent Marcos one. Marcos, diverging from his more Beijing-friendly predecessor, has reoriented Philippine foreign policy to be markedly more pro-US and anti-China by expanding American access to military bases in the country, and taking a strong stand on territorial disputes in the South China Sea. However, it's perhaps other things that have made this a more personal and bitter dispute. Vice President Sara Duterte has been accused of corruption related to her use of tens of millions of dollars worth of confidential funds as Vice President and Education Minister, something that she's been chided for by House Speaker Martin Romualdez, President Marcos's cousin, and which is the subject of an ongoing House investigation. Sara Duterte's father, Rodrigo, is also under significant scrutiny, with him being the subject of an International Criminal Court probe into his violent war on drugs that allegedly involved large-scale extrajudicial violence by police and death squads. In fact, Duterte recently made a remarkable admission to a Senate inquiry panel. As Davao City Mayor, he had a death squad made up of gangsters. With the separate investigations into both Duterte's rumbling on, the escalating rhetoric from their side could be seen as a way to fight back, bolster their position, and distract from the negative press. It's also crucial to note that a lot of this should be seen within the context of the lead-up to the midterm elections in 2025, and ultimately the presidential election in 2028, ahead of what the Marcos and Duterte families are looking to consolidate their positions. Marcos Jr. is term limited, so can't run again in 2028, leaving it an open field for the presidency, with members of both clans seen as likely contenders. Sara Duterte for the Dutertes, and perhaps Speaker Martin Romualdez for the Marcoses. The 2025 midterms will see the Philippines elect half the Senate, the entire House of Representatives, and many local officials too. Analysts have described the 2025 elections as a sort of referendum on which dynasty is stronger, and pointed out that for the Dutertes in particular, boosting their allies' presence in the Senate and later winning the presidency could help provide a vital shield from ongoing potential future investigations. In the meantime, it's reasonable to expect the intense rivalry to continue and even escalate. Though, given the drama of recent weeks and months, it's hard to predict exactly where things might go from here. As you've hopefully realised after an 8-minute video explaining the crisis in the Philippines, you'll have noticed that here at TLDR News, we're committed to helping you learn. Fortunately, the sponsor of today's video shares this commitment and is one of the best websites on the internet to help you learn new skills from the ground up. That website is, you guessed it, Brilliant. Now, one of the best things about Brilliant is, rather than simply throwing information at you and testing you on it, Brilliant teaches you by doing. Each of their lessons is filled with hands-on activities in problem solving that helps you actually play with the concepts. This is proven to be 6 times more effective than simply watching lecture videos. And what's more, Brilliant actually helps you do all of this learning wherever you are. You can complete their lessons on your phone, so you can easily utilise any spare minutes you have in the day with actually worthwhile learning. You can try everything Brilliant has to offer for free for a full 30 days, so click on the link in the description. That way you'll also get 20% off an annual premium subscription. Thanks for watching the video, and thanks for Brilliant for supporting this video.